Human Technologies is a social enterprise headquartered here in Utica. We've got a number of different business lines that we have. Our primary business lines are our custodial services, commercial cleaning, our facilities management services, as well as warehousing distribution services. And also we have our facilities management business here, like manufacturing, packaging, assembly, embroidery, and screen print. So we've got about 4 or 5 different lines of business that we have here. In this particular building, we've got 2 or 3 of those. The custodial and the facilities management are out customer locations, about 100 different locations across New York and Pennsylvania. So our mission is to create employment for people with differing abilities. The organization has been around for over 71 years now. It's changed over the years, it's evolved. Probably within the last 25 years, it's strictly an employer. So we're a little bit different than other organizations around the area where we are an employer first. So we just had to go out, find the business, and then once we find the business, we have to find employees that fit those particular jobs. Roughly 2/3 to 3/4 of those individuals have a differing ability. So we've got job descriptions, we've got pay scales. We run the business just like any other business I've ever worked for in my career. Our business is really word of mouth. We do a great work here. We get a lot of referrals from existing customers. We also have kept a lot of our accounts. Our retention is probably over 90–95%. The work that we do is actually very, very good compared to our competition. I would put us against any other commercial cleaning company. We do have to sing for our own supper. And what I mean by that is we've got to be able to price our products and services at a market rate and be able to compete. Because we're not receiving any sort of funding from the state or local governments. So everything we do, we have to make a profit on those. So we've got to be able to be very competitive, not only from our general administrative costs, but as well as being very smart with the dollars that we are bringing in. So we do have to invest in the organization. We have to invest not only in people, but the infrastructure of the organization, whether it's equipment, whether that's IT expenses. This new building was a pretty significant infrastructure investment we made last year. We had to be able to do that and run the business at the same time. So it is a little challenging to do so. Again, we're competing against small businesses, large businesses. We try not to compete against other nonprofit organizations. They've got their own niche, so we kind of try to leave each other alone. There's no sense of competing for employees and jobs. And we're just going to impact each other's mission. So we try to be respectful for other organizations.
A few weeks back, I had the pleasure of being hosted by newly incoming CEO Carl Riestrom at Human Technologies under their new roof, their consolidated facilities where the former ECR Utica Boilers was. Just in summary, we had an awesome visit. The facility was great, and it's amazing not only what they've consolidated, but how many things they actually do within that building. You walk through the facility after seeing their kind of mission presentation, their prospectus, if you will, and you really get a grasp of how many states they're in, how many businesses they support, and what their business model looks like. Yes, they aren't, quote, a for-profit business, but they completely rely on revenue generated from their business. They don't have the fundraisers and the golf tournaments and the galas. They truly rely on innovation, efficiency, and running a proper business to keep the people that they employ employed. The actual workforce, over 80% with a documented disability. The global employees, I shouldn't say global, but I mean global in a sense of, across their organization, 65%. So, they really are doing what they say they do. On the floor, you really started to understand really what they do. They were manufacturing covers for military equipment. They were putting all of the labels and insignias on shirts, for example, for corrections officers, for the state, for the military. There was a segment of their operations where they were doing intake for boots. But then they were doing things like they're a single source for standing up offices in remote locations for the military. So you saw a pallet of computers, chairs, office equipment, printers, lamps, whatever would be needed for that office to stand up. They're the single source provider. They would put it on a pallet and they would then ship it on location with 0% error, for example, to make sure that once it's there, it's going to be right. They do all of this with their workforce, and they invest in both processes for production, processes for quality assurance, and the equipment to execute all of those tasks so that people who do have documented disabilities can both thrive in that environment but work across a multifunctional development space where they're manufacturing a whole host of products that get shipped globally.
We've got some of the best employees around. You know, they're very appreciative of the organization, very appreciative of what we can do for them. I think the culture that we have here, that we established, that, you know, from the top down to the managers, we care about the employee, we care about their well-being, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure they're successful. You recognize the ability within the person, and then from there, let them shine. We got two objectives of the organization: to grow the employment base and to increase the strength of our balance sheet so we can hire more people. So we keep it very simple in that regards, and it's worked.